From me to you, sports talk. What you expect? It ain't about who said it first. It's about who got it right. Hello, everybody out there. I want to welcome you all to another great episode of the From Me to You Sports Talk, the one and only From Me to You Sports Talk, that is. Now, I know last week I didn't put out a podcast. For those of you who actually tune into me on a weekly basis, I appreciate you all, but I have a reason for that. I'm actually a student down here at USF, University of South Florida, in case some of you don't know, and it's finals week. So I'm cramming. I'm just trying to make sure that I get all these passing grades so that I can definitely have a career in a sports field. Now, usually we come on here, me and my co-host Stanton, and we talk about things that's going on. But this time it'll be me by myself. And I actually want to take the time out to address a couple things that's going on, just like in sports in general. And it ties into the society and things like that. In case some of you didn't know, I'm 25 years old. Of course, my name is Jonte Davis. And I wanted to be a broadcaster. You know, I wanted to go into broadcasting / journalism, right? So I got out the Army and I said, okay, what's the best school for veterans? USF is the best school for veterans, right? So I said, okay. Came down here, I went to SBC Community College, got my associates transferred to USF, which I'll be graduating next year with a bachelor's in mass comms, and I'm thinking about getting my master's. Now, I came into this field one-sided, like one-track minded. It was a time when it was like, I was like, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm going to, get out, chase my dream. I'm going to be a broadcaster, and that's what I really want to do, until I really got close to the field and I seen how broadcasting was. One thing I always say is I want to help the athlete more than harm the athlete. So one thing I say is, God works in mysterious ways. Sometimes he'll shut doors for you just to open up other ones. Well, what do I mean by that? What do I mean by God shutting doors? Sometimes you think that you're supposed to go down a certain path, but sometimes things just won't work out. And you'll wonder and sit back like, man, why isn't these things going on in my life? And what's going on? Like, why can't I get things right? Well, sometimes some things just aren't meant for you. Sometimes I sit back and I wonder, and I think I'm like, are some things just destined? Sometimes I actually sit back and think that, because it's like, when things are going good, they're going good. But you know what they say, when it rains, it pours. And I do believe that God will bless whoever is on the right path. And if you continue to work hard for your dreams, God will bless you. Now, that's not to say that people who do bad don't get blessed, because I don't honestly, I am gonna say that people that do bad, although it may look like that they're living right and doing these things, they're not getting blessed from God. I don't know what you call that, but that ain't from God. But anyways, let me get back to the point that I was making about the whole journalism, broadcast thing, and why I'm switching my focus. And I want to go more towards gearing and helping athletes, helping student athletes, especially inner city athletes. So it's kind of funny because I just got an intern at a radio station, and I started in January. I'm happy, excited, and everything. But then it's like out of nowhere, it's like, why don't I want to do this anymore? So it's like the more I got into it, like basically the more I got into the field, is the more I realized that this isn't what I want to do. And that's actually hard for some people. Some people can't walk away from things and just transition. One thing about me, I'm a big leaper. I just got done reading Steve Harvey book. I try to at least read one book a month. And I know that's probably not a lot, especially with being a full-time student. I would like to read more books a month, but, one book a month is good. I just got this investment book. I think it's by Tommy or Tony Robbins and stuff. So I'm always seeking and trying to get better at something. Now, one thing Steve Harvey was saying is, you can't be complacent. You have to jump. Sometimes, like I know, especially me in the military. When I was actually in the military, I would see people week in and week out complain about I would see people complain about their conditions, their living condition. Oh, I don't like the military. oh yeah, I had kids, so I have to stay in. I don't think that's right. I think you should live for happiness. For one, you shouldn't live for money. Or I said that money, because at what point will you feel like that you always need, like basically that you never have enough. If you're living for money, if you're living to become a millionaire, once you get a million, you're gonna want two. Once you get two, you're gonna want five. Once you get five, you're gonna want 10. So that's basically living. So I think that's living the wrong way. You should live for happiness. And the things that I've seen in a especially in the sports media field, about how, I mean, there are some good journalists out there who do try to paint a perfect picture, or who tries to clean up situations and stuff like that. And that's why we got our PR team. And now I do understand public relations more, because I used to say things like, oh, public relations, they just try to wipe things under the rug, which I think they still do at times. Don't get me wrong. I think public relation does wipe some things under the rug, but I also think they do a good job at mitigating the damage and stuff like that. Especially when you have these journalists and broadcasts who are just sometimes just searching for a story. And we learned about this in class, and this doesn't even take a class for you all to just pick up on some of the things that goes on in the media field. Whether it's movies, whether it's magazines, stuff like that. I don't want to be a part of anything negative that's getting pushed out. Nothing. So I am changing my focus, and I think I want to go more into like being like a basketball scout, something like that, something like basketball scout, mentor to student athletes, something like that. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know as long as I stay on the right path, with God's help, I'll definitely land up doing something that I want to do with my life. Now, I know I just gave y'all like a 7 minute just monologue about what's going on in my life and things like that. But I think it's good to be transparent, especially with someone, especially since y'all don't actually know me. But I think, probably after this episode, you'll have a better understanding of who I am. And it's not just sports talk with me. I don't just come on here to talk about sports. I come on here to actually enlighten people, and I can learn from people as well. So I'm not just one of those guys who just, oh yeah, it's all about sports. No, because it's bigger than sports in this life we're living. Sports is entertainment, and I think that's what it provides for a lot of people. But there's also underlying issues in sports, especially I'm pretty sure y'all just watched that Monday night football game, the whole Bengals and Pittsburgh Steelers game. I made a podcast. No, it wasn't a podcast. I made a YouTube video. I want to say about 2 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago. I made a YouTube video, and I was talking about how these athletes are they get high paid. Well, basically they get paid a lot of money, but is it really worth it? So for all of you who have kids out there who are playing football, I know especially where I'm from, and like I said, it's playing time in Cincinnati, we can start playing at 5-4. Start playing contact football with a helmet on. So with all these studies that's actually going on and populating, do y'all really think that's the best thing to let your kids get in harm's way like that? Now, I know you can get hurt doing anything, but I'm gonna tell you right now, football is not the sport to go. You got a son or a daughter, and they want to play sports. Basketball, baseball, soccer, volleyball, anything else. I don't even care for hockey, honestly. Because you got to think about it. In football, these contracts aren't guaranteed. They don't get guaranteed money. Now, I get it. There's a 53-man roster, right? So you can't give every player a huge contract. But there's a problem when you got a bench player from an NBA team. You got a seventh man on a rotation receiving 3-year, $25 million guaranteed contract. But I'm a star player, and I'm putting my body on the line 16 games throughout the season. Yeah, I get it. NBA plays 82. You go into the playoffs, you play more. But if I'm one of these star players in the NFL, I gotta fight for $70 million, and only probably 30 of that is guaranteed. And then I'm the one that's going out there getting my brain scrambled, getting my knees busted and all that for the millions. And then we see it. By the time you're 30, 40 years old, some of these players can't even walk. We see players in the wheelchair. We see players getting pushed around. We see players who, I mean, they have not Alzheimer's, but they have the CTE related symptoms that's actually going on in their brains. So I think it's time for athletes, especially the inner city athletes, I'll say that, to start looking at a different way. Basketball, football isn't the only way to make money. That isn't the only way that you can provide. I get it. You grew up in the inner city. You grew up in these tough environments, but when you actually sit back and look at it, it's all a part of the system. Okay, boom. But these players, all right, and I'm not saying that this is how I feel, but I'm just like going off a general. I'm just throwing some things out there, right? Okay, boom. These players don't care about school, right? Cool. What they want to do? First thing they see, basketball, football. Cool. Bet. All right, I'm an owner of a team, and then we got to think about it. These are private owners, and this will all lead up to the whole Colin Kaepernick situation, and y'all will understand better, right? So, boom, I'm an owner of a team. I got all these guys who will definitely break their neck just to make millions doing it this way, because they probably don't want to do it by being a doctor, by studying something, by picking up a trade. They're like, oh, okay, all right. They want to just use their athleticism, right? Okay, cool. So it's almost like a cycle where it doesn't matter how these NFL owners feel about Colin Kaepernick kneeling or anything. That doesn't matter, because I'm gonna tell you this right now. For every Colin Kaepernick that's gonna kneel, it's gonna be 1,000 other athletes that will stand up and that will do what Jerry Jones tells them to do, and that will do what Bob Kraft would tell them to do. So it really doesn't matter. Like, I appreciate Colin Kaepernick because I think this guy will definitely go down in the history books. I think years from now, I'm sorry, not years, but decades, kids will learn about who Colin Kaepernick was. Colin Kaepernick is important because we know that this guy was fighting. He was actually, protesting for, social injustices and everything like that. So I think that's big, especially now. I get a lot of people don't like the way he did it. They feel that he disrespected the flag, stuff like that. So maybe some people think he could have done it a different way. But at the end of the day, no matter how we feel about it, that's a private organization thing. Those teams are privately owned. So the owner has all the right to say, you need to get up off your knees. And guess what? You better stand for that flag. Now, people don't understand when I say these things. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're black, right? Yes, I am a black man, but I understand this. At the end of the day, everything is business. You're messing up their brand. And I said this in my Facebook group. I said, okay, if you don't like the narrative, if you don't like the way some things are, then you have to change it. But they won't let us change it. Yeah, I get that. You got to work. You probably do got to work, twice hard. But that don't mean you stop on the team, because you're trying to seek this. Well, you're trying to seek salvation and all this stuff from these owners. These owners ain't going through that. These owners, they ain't got to worry about being oppressed and all that stuff like that. So that's just some little thoughts that I had that I wanted to definitely share with you all out there. And like I said, if anybody want to talk, anybody want to reach out to me, find me on Instagram. We can inbox me or something. We can talk about something, because I like having combos that are more than just sports. I like things that can definitely build people up and definitely bridge the gap of racism and stuff like that. So my Instagram is @officialjdavis2. That's @officialjdavis, and that's the number 2. Now, what should we get into? A lot of things have transpired. we just had the college football playoffs. You know, a lot of people feel like, oh, Ohio State got left out. I told my boys who are big Ohio State fans, I said, Ohio State, if they would have took care of business against Wisconsin, and they needed to beat Wisconsin by at least 3 touchdowns, and Ohio State would have been in the playoffs. Did that happen? No. Y'all know y'all know the committee. Y'all know how much money Alabama brings college football. What made y'all think? What in the world made y'all think Alabama wasn't gonna get into these playoffs? If y'all out there listening, y'all probably like, yeah, you right. Or some people like, no, we had a better record. We had a tougher strength of schedule. I get that, but there is a such thing as SEC bias. Do I think the SEC is the best conference? No. I personally thought the Big Ten was the best conference, but it was kind of hard to say that when you have these teams that Penn State lost to Ohio State lost to Iowa, but it was like with Michigan being down this year, that didn't that didn't help my argument at all. Like that didn't help boost my argument at all. Michigan stunk it up this year, so that was bad. The ACC looks good though. I figured Clemson would beat Miami. I said, yeah, Clemson defense is loaded. Clemson is going to beat the brakes off of Miami. Big time. But another thing I want to talk about, and I'm not going to hold you all up too long today. I'm not going to hold you up for 45 minutes, 50 minutes, as I need to go ahead and knock this studying out and stuff like that. But, I will be on Christmas break after that, so I'll be right back to knocking out these podcasts, giving y'all 45-minute, 40-minute episodes. This whole Tom Brady, Odell Beckham thing, this goes back to what I was talking about with the media. I think Odell Beckham feels there's a double standard with everything, but, he's right. There is a double standard, of course. But then again, that's Tom Brady. Tom Brady has won all those rings, stuff like that. So they look at Tom Brady like, oh, well, Tom Brady can do no wrong and stuff like that. One like Gronk. When I seen what Gronk did and then you appeal it, come on, man. You got to be crazy to appeal your suspension. But the bottom line is the media, y'all. We cannot stop letting the media control the narrative. That's the problem. And that's why a lot of times the media are losing. I mean, they're losing out on a lot of subscribers, whether it's CNN, whether it's ESPN, MSNBC News, all these. Like, you don't need to get your news from them. Although they do break some incredible stories. New York Times, some of these people, but a lot of these people do not have the best interest at heart. I believe that, this is a country that they don't like. If everybody was to get along, I think people will lose their mind. I think there's money to be made in people going against each other. There's money to be made in people arguing, fighting, owners, capitalism, Just do some research, guys, and you all will be able to just figure things out now. I know this is a sports podcast, but I just had a couple other things that I wanted to get off my chest and just talk about. Just be transparent with the listeners and everything like that. So, like I always say, it's not about who said it first. It's about who got it right. From me to you, signing out, y'all.